Hey everyone, welcome back to Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney, and when we last left off, we had just done our final day investigation, and we learned a little bit more stuff, because we went to the police station, we went to the Chief Gaunt, his office, and inside his safe, he had some pieces that were evidence. Like, they had the extra piece of that pot that we put together from the evidence room. Then he also had a piece of, like, leather or cloth that had Emma's handprint on it for some reason. So, he has something to do with this. Is he the mastermind behind it? Who's to say? But we're going to be going on to the final day trial former. Since it says former, this is gonna be a two-part trial as always. So this episode we'll do the first half of the trial, and then next episode we'll finish up. So let's go into it. February 25th, 9:47 a.m. District Court, Defendant Lobby Number 2. This is the defendant lobby, all right. But there's no defendant. I've been trying to reach Lana all morning. Where could she be? And where's Emma? For that matter, it almost seems as if something's been happening behind the scenes. Is that Gaunt? Oh, it's Edgeworth, okay. Edgeworth? Knowing you, you've already figured it out. Who's the owner of 7777777? Well, I have a pretty strong hunch. You know, the only reason this trial didn't reach a verdict yesterday is because there was still room for doubt regarding this ID record. After all, he hasn't been officially charged with anything. True, not yet. In any event, once all doubt has been removed from that list, I can call for a ruling. 5 minutes. Right. And Chief Prosecutor Skye will be found guilty. Are you sure about that, Edgeworth? Are you sure about that? But she didn't do it. I'd figure you'd say much. That's why I came here, to hear what you have to say. Lana's hiding something, and the only way we'll know the truth is to draw her out of it. The truth. Everything goes back to the SL9 incident. Ah, don't be stupid, Wright. Today is the last day of the trial. We don't have time to reminisce about the past. That depends on you, Edgeworth. If she's found guilty, you'll lose your only chance to find out what happened. Are we really playing that card? I'll think about it. He is thinking about it. This is the first time we've got him to think about something this hard. See you in court, Wright. Oh, you're right about that. This is it. Maybe Edgeworth will help us out. Maybe he wants to draw it out to see what happened with the SL9 incident. Court is now in session for the trial of Miss Lana Skye. Defense is ready. Prosecution is ready. Normally this is when the prosecution puts forth its opening statement. But before that, the police chief has a proposal to make. Chief Gaunt? Oh, he just manifests. Morning, folks. How's everyone doing? Hey, Edgy. Been back to the pool yet? Oh, Udgy. Okay, it's Judge. No, I've been drowning enough as it is in my work. Huh, that's a good one. Don't think I can top that. If you don't mind me asking, Chief, exactly what is this proposal of yours? Exactly, what is the proposal? Lana, that is to say, the defendant, has asked if she could speak directly to the court. She wants to do what now? She didn't talk to me. I am her lawyer. Having heard what she intends to say, I feel she should be granted her request. In the end, it should save everyone a lot of time and trouble. Oh, but Gaunt is pulling the strings. How can we trust anything she says? What's this all about, defendant? I'd just like to make one simple request and I'll be finished. Well then, what's your request? Your Honor, I'd like you to put an immediate end to this trial. Gaunt is pulling the strings. Huh? I confess to all charges against me. On February 21st of this year, I murdered Detective Bruce Goodman. in the underground parking lot of the prosecutor's office. Lana, no! Wait, what's in her hand? There's something in her hand behind her back. A piece of paper or something. You can't. Your Honor, the defendant's claim does not change the defense's plea. In that case, Mr. Wright, I no longer require your services. But Lana, Your Honor, I hereby forfeit my right to an attorney. Ah, this girl. The prosecution may lack direct evidence against me, but it has sufficiently proven a case through testimony and circumstantial evidence. I would like you to render your verdict now, if you please. Well, the defendant certainly has the right to self-representation, but her request is legally valid, although this is an unprecedented situation. It appears there's no further need to continue this trial. Oh, are you serious? Even if Mr. Wright may feel otherwise. It appears the time for the verdict has arrived. This court finds the defendant. Objection! Is that Edgeworth? Edgeworth is going to help us? One moment, Your Honor. Mr. Edgeworth. The prosecution has not yet proven the defendant guilty beyond reasonable doubt. Any ruling at this stage would certainly be premature. Come now, Worthy, come on. I understand this is a difficult time for you, but why don't you just be a good little boy and keep your mouth shut, hmm? Huh. I don't think I care for your tone, Chief Gaunt. What? Are you talking against the Chief? Really, Edgeworth? Creating another fabrication to cover up your past mistakes? Sorry, but I'm no longer the naive little boy you would have me be. With this sudden confession from the defendant, it's obvious to me some kind of deal was struck behind the scenes. Some kind of deal, hmm? Not everyone operates as you do, Worthy. I thought so. Your Honor, the prosecution would like to change its first witness. To whom? As its first witness, the prosecution would like to call Miss Emma Skye. I request the court hears her testimony. Hold it! Mr. Edgeworth, I am exercising my right to self-representation. I don't think we need to come. I don't care what you think, Miss Skye. I don't care one bit. The exposure of truth seems results in tragedy. However, no matter how tragic the truth may be, it would be an even greater tragedy to avert one's eyes from it. Very well. The court shall grant the prosecution's request. That's okay with you, right, Chief Gaunt? Worthy, you'll live to regret this. Mark my words. Miss Emma Skye, please take the stand. Looks like Edgeworth has decided to take the horse by the reins. Thank you, Edgeworth. Now then, witness, please state your name and occupation. My name's Emma Skye. My occupation, I'm Lana's little sister. I want to be a scientific investigator. 2 years ago, you encountered the serial killer Joe Dark of the Joe Dark killings. Is this correct? Yes. I'm trying my hardest to forget about it, though. I can understand why. I'm sorry, but I'm afraid I'm going to have to ask you to recall those events one more time. Edgeworth, please remember this trial concerns the murder of Detective Goodman. Is an incident that was resolved 2 years ago really all that relevant? Yes, it most certainly is, Judge. It most certainly is. Thank you, Edgeworth. Well, okay then. He sure gave up fast. Now, please testify about what happened to you 2 years ago. It's bound to lead to the truth behind the trial. I hope you're right, Wright. Okay, so 2 years ago, I was waiting in my sister's office that day. A man came running in and took me hostage. Neil Marshall rescued me, but I'll never forget what I saw in that instant. The man raised up his knife and stabbed Mr. Marshall in the chest. It's a good thing you weren't harmed. I passed out. I don't remember much. That's understandable. However, please tell me, Mr. Wright, Edgeworth, why does the testimony have to do with Detective Goodman's murder? That will soon become apparent, Your Honor. I hope I can do it. I can talk about it. Very well. The defense may begin its cross-examination. But we're not the defense anymore. Lana is self-representation. Or can I? I guess I'm getting the chance. Good. Okay, so you're waiting for your sister? Press. Yes, she was second in command under Deputy Chief of Police Gaunt. My sister, she was the best detective ever. Yes, I remember. Deputy Chief Gaunt and Miss Sky used to be quite the pair. I believe they shared the same office. That's right. And dream about playing the organ. I wanted to play it that day too. Police department and the prosecutor's office held a ceremony that day. Lana promised to take me to dinner after she finished her work. A man came running in and took me hostage. Okay. A man? Who is this man? Joe Dark. He was a serial killer. He does look it. Joe Dark was brought in for questioning on the day of that ceremony. We were desperate to get anything out of him that would lead to an arrest. When he saw his chance, he fled the room, right? Upon fleeing the room, Dark proceeded to take an elevator. He must have been in a panic because the elevator was going up. He ran into Sky and Gaunt's office. There's a lot of noise coming from outside, so I opened up the door to have a look. That's when I saw him. Neil Marshall rescued me. Okay. What was the prosecutor doing there? That day, there were two people present during Dark's questioning. Damon Gaunt and Neil Marshall. Neil Marshall had just received the King of Prosecutors Award. Young and dedicated, he went straight to the questioning room after the ceremony. When Dark grabbed me, I thought I was good as dead, and that's when Prosecutor Marshall came running in. I don't clearly remember what happened then, but I never forget what I saw in that instant. Can you tell us about that? Mr. Marshall jumped on Dark just then the lights went out. It was just about the time of the year. There was a terrible storm going on. Lightning struck nearby. So the electricity went out, you say? Wait a minute. If it was pitch dark in that room, you shouldn't have been able to see anything, right? Right, but just then, lightning flashed again outside. And that's the sudden flash left an unforgettable image in my mind. I told the detective about what I saw then. Yes, Goodman. Goodman was one you told. He was in charge of the case. Hear more. So you spoke with Detective Goodman about this 2 years ago. That's what's so scary about this trial. And you told Goodman what you saw. But at the time, the words just wouldn't come out. That's why I drew a picture. Wait, we have the picture. I think she mentioned that before. Well, Mr. Wright, have you heard enough? Ask about the picture. This picture the witness drew, I believe it has a very important meaning. But the list of evidence I was given 2 years ago did not contain a picture. Witness, would you mind if we added this statement to your testimony? But it seems to have been lost. Press. You drew a picture of the scene, yes. I wanted to do everything I could to help the investigation. I can still see it even whenever I close my eyes. That's strange. I took over the case after Prosecutor Marshall died, and I never received any picture. Perhaps the witness is mistaken. But I did draw it, I swear. I'm not just imagining it. This picture that she drew, that reminds me. Yes. Can you please describe it to us? The man raised up his knife and stabbed Mr. Marshall in the chest. That must have been a real shock. Even now, when I close my eyes, I can still see it. What were you doing at that moment? When lightning struck and the lights went out, Mr. Marshall jumped on Dark and was thrown aside, and the two began wrestling each other. Pretty sure I was watching them. Doesn't have any reason to lie, but Lana sure does. Okay, so let's see what we have, because I think we have that picture. Isn't it on here? Yes! That is the picture right there. So we have it on the back of the evidence list. Okay, so let's back up. Get out of this. I drew a picture, but it seems to have been lost. It is not lost because I have it right here. Mr. Edgeworth, this little girl put all her heart into drawing that picture. And yet you would insist on denying its existence. Huh? I'm not the bad guy here, Wright. Come on. All I'm saying is that as a prosecution for that case, I wasn't handed such a picture. That may well be. But that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Behold. An evidence list for the SL9 incident? Please turn it over, Your Honor. What's this? It looks like a picture of the killing. Hey! That's it. That's what the picture I drew. Indeed. Two men appear to be wrestling here. What's the meaning of this? What are you doing with that list? Only the prosecutor in charge of this should be access to that list. These lists, they're different from each other. It would appear, Mr. Edgeworth, that the evidence list you were handed 2 years ago was incomplete. These two lists fit together to form one. Hey, they did say, okay, that usually they're twice as long. So this one was twice as long, just they got cut in half. You can see the marks here where they're torn apart from each other. It's quite obvious what happened. 2 years ago, only half of the evidence in that case ever reached you. What? Sorry, Edgeworth, but this is correct. Order, order. But Miss Skye, why did you draw your picture on the back of such an important list? Because that's what Detective Goodman handed me in the questioning room, Your Honor. Wait a minute. If this list was torn in half, that means... Your Honor? Are you alright, Mr. Wright? Your eyes are bulging from your head. If the evidence list was torn in half, then there might be more drawing on the back of Mr. Edgeworth's list. Oh, that's true. That's quite conceivable, Mr. Wright. Or Mr. Edgeworth. It's possible. Let's see. Huh? Is something wrong? Edgeworth is seething. Look at him. Sorry, Your Honor. There is indeed something drawn on the back of my list. It's that thing. The blue badger. That thing. Dancing in the evidence room. Clearly this is act of vandalism in the work of a certain chief of detectives. Evidence list is restored. Very well, witness. Will you please testify about this picture you drew 2 years ago? Huh? Oh, yeah, yes, sir, Your Honor. Seems to be thinking about something when she is looking at that picture. Okay, tell me about the picture. This is the picture I drew 2 years ago. The flash of lightning was bright. All I could see were shadows. After that, I must have fainted. This picture shows exactly what I saw in that instant. Okay. To think a flash of lightning would burn such an image in your mind. Well, I don't see any contradictions here. This clearly shows Joe Dark about the murder of prosecutor Neil Marshall. Okay, cross-examination. We cannot tell who it is. Okay. Okay, 2 years ago. Are you sure? Did you draw this picture right after the incident? I think I drew it 2 or 3 days later. First, I was in such a state of shock that I couldn't do anything. Detective Goodman was placed in charge under the direction of Damon Gaunt and Lana Skye. Memory should still have been fresh in our mind. Excuse me, witness. But can you please tell us why this picture is painted all in black? 'Cause that's all she could see. All she could see was shadows. So at the time, you didn't even know it was Mr. Marshall who had come to your rescue? No, I couldn't see him clearly. So are you sure it was dark? The lightning was so bright that I was knocked to the floor. Knocked to the floor? Dark had a tight grip on me, but when Marshall jumped on him, I was knocked away. I turned around, And that's when the lightning flashed. What happened after the lightning flash? I must have fainted. Okay. You mean you didn't see the actual murder take place? No, I'm sorry. The flash of lightning only drove off the darkness for a split second. Not only that, but the trauma of the situation caused the witness to faint. Do you really need to torture this girl any further? Yes, I do, actually. What? Hey, I'm not the bad guy here. Anyways, this picture shows exactly what I saw in that instant. Okay. Sorry for asking so many times, but are you sure you drew exactly what you saw? Of course, this is the exact scene. It wasn't influenced in any way from your talks with the detectives. Are you insinuating that we somehow manipulated her memory, Mr. Wright? No, of course not. Of course not. I wouldn't insinuate that. I drew this picture before I heard anything from detectives, so I don't think anyone's story would have influenced me. Is there something that's bothering me? It's the blue badger! Well. That's strange. She claims to this is exactly the scene. And yet, there's clearly a contradiction here. Okay, let's look at our stuff here. So, our autopsy report, 1 knife wound, a single stab wound was found. Okay. Then this one died from a punctured heart and lung. A knife tip was in the wound. Okay, let's show this to her. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but this picture the witness drew contains a blatant contradiction. But I still remember it, just like it was yesterday, Wright. Mr. Wright, perhaps it would be faster if you simply pointed out this contradiction. What part is contradiction? But what does contradict it? The knife, maybe? Take a look at the knife the man is holding. You can see its tip is broken. That's true. Even I don't have to look closely to see that, Mr. Wright. But Mr. Wright, look at the evidence. See the murder weapon? Its tip is broken too. If I recall, the tip of the knife was found broken off in the victim's body. It was the conclusive evidence to prove Joe Dark was the murderer. I'm afraid it's not so simple. And where, pray tell, could possibly see a problem? The victim suffered a single stab wound to the back. A single stab wound. If the victim was only stabbed once, then the murder weapon should not be broken yet. That is true. That is true. That's meaningless. Perhaps the knife was broken beforehand. I'm afraid that's not possible. The tip of the knife was found inside the victim's body. Exactly. If it was broken beforehand, it couldn't possibly wind up there. That's right. But what does that mean? The tip of the knife was undeniably discovered within the victim's body. The only possible explanation is the witness's memory is mistaken. That's why I asked her so many times if she was sure she remembered correctly. I believe you were annoyed at that time, but she was sure she remembered correctly. But there's no other way to explain the inconsistency. But there is, Mr. Not so fast, Mr. Edgeworth. There is another explanation. Have you forgotten already? A little falsified evidence. You're treading on thin ice here, right? All I'm saying is that the broken knife tip might be a piece of evidence that was forged. You can't deny the possibility. No. He can't. He can't possibly. Now, possibly Lana or Gaunt could tell us. Order, are you saying the investigation really was corrupted? Your Honor, please allow me to once again go over the events that took place the day of the murder. Police department and the prosecutor's office were holding a ceremony that day. After receiving the King of Prosecutors Award at the ceremony, Neil Marshall questioned Joe Gaunt, along with Damon Gaunt. Oh, Joe Dark, along with David Gaunt. During questioning, Joe Dark fled the room. Prosecutor Marshall chased after him and was killed by Dark. It is my belief that somewhere in the story there is a lie. I'm not lying. The man really was holding up a broken knife. The man! Exactly. You never said it was Joe Dark. If that's true, then there's no other way around it. This could not have been the actual murder weapon. There must have been another broken knife. There's a certain statue that has a broken knife. What are the chances there being 2 broken knives? Could have been one. There is another one. If the witness is this adamant about the accuracy of what she drew, it can't just be explained away by simple observational error. Mr. Wright? In that instant, Emma really did see a broken knife. I assume, then, that you have information in this other broken knife. Please feel free to enlighten us. The real murder weapon. Okay, so this is the one that Edgeworth has, okay? Edgeworth has one without a knife. But if we were to go onto this picture here, this one has a knife in with it, and it's missing now. The murder weapon I present to you. 2 years in the past, right here inside this picture. This is a picture of the award ceremony. What is it, Edgeworth? It's the broken murder weapon. Notice the award prosecutor Marshall is holding. That's a broken knife. As we earlier concluded, the knife in the drawing was not Joe Dark's knife. That being the case, the knife the witness saw was in all likelihood from this award. Is it actually sharp? Would it be sharp enough to stab someone? That's the question I have. Order, order. Neil Marshall was awarded King of Prosecutor that day. As an award, he was given this broken shield and knife. When he chased after Joe Dark, he pulled out this knife. Being a prosecutor, he did not carry a pistol. This broken knife was the only weapon he had in this dangerous situation. But that can't be true. Oh, why not, Mr. Edgeworth? Because if the King of Prosecutors Award knife was the murder weapon, then the murderer and the victim would be in reverse. You're exactly right. What do you mean? I mean, the man raising the knife would have been Prosecutor Neil Marshall. Oh. Okay, maybe we can still save this, okay? But the prosecutor was the one who actually died. That's true. What's going on here? It seems Mr. Wright has been a bit too eager to jump to conclusions. Hold it. Who is that? Wait. I remember now. I remember everything. Are you sure you remember everything now? Witness? Mr. Edgeworth? What is it? Could you show me your evidence list again? The one with the picture scribbled on the back. I knew it. This picture, I'm the one who drew it. You're correct. What? You drew that? That's right. The list wasn't torn in half at the time I drew this picture. All this time I was trying so hard to forget it. Wait, was there a shadow? Was that shadow on the top of the building? On the roof? The ceiling? I must have locked this part away deep inside me. It would be best if we added this to your witness's testimony. Would you please tell us what you recall, Miss Guy? First the knife mix-up and now the blue badger? This should be interesting. Exactly. Okay, her recollection. What is it? When I saw the man raise the knife, I panicked and rushed toward both of them. I think I knocked away the man with the knife. Just then, there was another flash of lightning, and that's when I saw the blue badger. He wasn't in the room, but I'm sure I saw his shadow. The blue badger. This is certainly most unusual. Try impossible. The chief of detectives hadn't even designed him until this year. That would mean he didn't even exist 2 years ago. Are you sure about this? Well, the defense may... Stop, please. Don't pursue this any further. Lana? What's the meaning of this? Please remain seated in the defendant's chair. But you can't do this. I've already confessed to the crime. Why can't you just leave it at that? Chief Prosecutor Sky? We've already come this far. It's a bit too far to turn back. A bit too late. Defense will now begin its cross-examination. Bailiff, please detain the defendant. Thank you, bailiff. Now she can stop trying to stop us. We'll get the truth. When I saw the man raise the knife, okay. When you see the man, I assume you refer to Joe Dark. Yes, at least I think it was him. You think. All I could really see were shadows. The power outage that immediately preceded the incident. It also is documented in the prosecutor's office reports. You panic and rush toward both of them, okay. Why would you do something so dangerous? What else could I have done? He was about to stab Mr. Marshall. Seems convinced that Joe Dark was the one holding the knife. But as we've just theorized, Mr. Marshall was the one holding the knife. I didn't know that at the time. Then the dark guy knocked him down. Darked me down. All I could think was, I've got to help the other person. I think I knocked away the man with a knife. What do you mean, think? It all happened so fast, I was in a shock. I don't remember everything clearly. What I did is kind of a blur. This guy was almost killed before she was witness to the murder about to take place. With so much happening in a matter of seconds, a little disorientation is only natural. I saw the man about to stab the other, who I thought was Mr. Marshall. I knew I had to stop the man with the knife. What you did was very brave, young girl. So then, what happened next? There's another flash of lightning, and that's when I saw the blue badger. Are you sure? Of course! See? I even drew a picture of him here. That's true, that's true. But it was Chief Detective who thought up this hideous beast. And that was just years ago. The blue badger didn't exist 2 years ago. I know it sounds strange. I was surprised too when I saw him in the police department. I had this nagging feeling I'd seen him before, somewhere. Is that the reason why part of his thing is broken? You see the tape on there trying to fix it? Now I finally remembered. Tell us, where in the room do you see them dancing? I saw his shadow. Where was the shadow at? Was it on the ceiling? You mean you didn't actually see his face with his winning smile and all? That's right, but I still remembered it. It had 3 creepy horns. This is pointless. Couldn't have possibly existed 2 years ago. The witness is mistaken. That may well be. But what's important is what caused her to think she saw what she did. And I suppose you have an explanation. Tell us what the shadow really was. Who was this blue badger? I just might know. She certainly saw the shadow. Ladies and gentlemen, it is the defense's belief that the fatal day 2 years ago, there indeed was something that looked similar to the blue badger. Something that was now sitting in this very room. In this room. Very well, Mr. Wright. What is it the witness saw? 3 horns? The unstable jar? It's gotta be the jar. The mysterious blue badger was in fact this. But that's... What exactly is that? That's the reason why there's blood on it. I believe it's some sort of jar. But Mr. Wright, that doesn't look anything like the blue badger. Indeed it doesn't. As it stands now, it's just a plain jar. However, if we were to change our viewpoint. The correct angle looked at this from... Ooh, we're getting there, we're getting there. That kind of looks like it. Kinda. There! Well, is this a miracle or what? It does kind of look like it. A little bit. Pretty close. No one can possibly deny this badger resembles the blue badger. This jar. No, it can't be! Order, order. The defense has proven its claim. The mysterious blue badger witnessed on the day of the crime was actually this. Although we all enjoyed Mr. Wright's dynamic performance, one question remains. What's your point? What do you mean? So that badger thing was actually just a jar. That doesn't change anything. I'm afraid that's where you are wrong, Mr. Edgeworth. You see, this changes everything. Very well, then, please tell us. What's the difference now that we know the witness saw this jar? The murderer. At the moment of the murder, the witness saw this jar. At a very specific angle, I might add. Knowing this, where could she have seen this jar? Location of the jar is shown in the picture taken on the day of the crime. It's on a shelf in the office of Damon Gaunt. But the body was found lying near Lana Sky's desk. The witness testified so herself. Yes, and it is these two facts that reveal what actually transpired. You see, the struggle between Dark and Marshall did not take place in Lana Sky's office. It happened on the other side of the room, in Chief Gaunt's office. Are you implying the murderer moved the victim's body? From Damon Gaunt's office to Lana Sky's office. I mean, it's the same room. Yes. Why would he do that? There's no reason. Exactly. If there wasn't a reason, why would he have gone through the trouble? The only logical conclusion is that there was a reason. But what is the reason, Wright? You know what the reason was, Mr. Wright? I finally figured it out. So this is why Lana tried to stop the trial. It was too late to quit now, though. Please recall the witness's testimony. She said she knocked away the man who was holding the knife. In the next instant, the jar was hit, flew through the air. Now tell me, what could have sent the jar flying? The impact of the man made when he knocked into the wall. Ladies and gentlemen, if I may draw your attention to this picture. If the man was knocked in the direction of the shelf the jar was sitting on, what would he have hit? Aha! The suit of armor, holding a very sharp and dangerous looking thing. You know, whenever I saw that picture, I thought that might be the murder weapon. But there was no blood on it. I tried. Yes. And since the man was knocked into the armor was carrying a broken knife, he would have been Neil Marshall, wielding the King of Prosecutors trophy. Mr. Wright, you can't be thinking. Yes, there is another possibility of what actually transpired in that room. Of course, the perpetrator would have had no idea what, but nonetheless. I don't know if I can go through with this. Oh, I know what you're going to say, right? Mr. Wright, what's the matter? If events took place as the defense theorizes, then the outcome is obvious. In that moment, assuming the man Emma Sky knocked away was actually Prosecutor Neil Marshall. Yeah. Then Emma killed him. Judge is confused. Does Emma understand? You mean Mr. Marshall died because of me? No! Oh gosh, we had to break the girl's heart. Ah! Thud. Did she fall? Understandable. I never imagined her testimony would lead to this. So it was the witness who took the victim's life, and then proved so with her own testimony. This is unprecedented. Lana? What? What are you saying? I'm sorry, Miss Sky, but given the circumstances, Joe Dark murdered Prosecutor Marshall. How can you think it was Emma? How dare you try to pin the crime on her? Imagine that coming from you. If you recall, it was you who attempted to forge evidence 2 years ago. The reason you proved Prosecutor Marshall's body was to keep anyone else from finding out what Emma did, wasn't it? I assure you, Mr. Edgeworth, I have no idea what you're talking about. If you hope to have anyone believe your insane allegations, I'm afraid you're going to have proof. Tell me, do you have any conclusive evidence that proves my sister killed Norm Marshall? Evidence? I think actually I do have a piece of evidence. I'm willing to bet you don't. Yes, it certainly would be difficult to prove this. If we don't have evidence, then we'll have to rely on testimony. I'm afraid that won't work in this case. Both parties involved in the incident are dead. This has been a wild goose chase from the beginning. Huh. Touché, Miss Skye. Of course, that only leaves us with one possibility. You mean there's still one other possibility? What do you mean, Mr. Edgeworth? I mean the possibility that the victim has left us a message. For better or for worse, Mr. Marshall did not die instantly. He may have left behind the name of the person who took his life. In another manner. That's impossible. Well, Mr. Wright, this is the only possibility left to you. A message from the deceased. Does such a message exist? Oh, if only we had the spirit medium here. The real murderer's name that the victim may have left behind is in the evidence. Mr. Wright, will you stop at nothing to prove my sister's a murderer? Do not be mistaken, Miss Skye. Our purpose is not to accuse Emma of any crime. There is only one thing we seek. The truth! No matter how painful it may be. Edgeworth is on our team. What? Now then, Mr. Wright, please show us the evidence. The jar. Is it the blood on the jar? Yeah. Yeah, it's gotta be this. A message left by the deceased. This is that blue badger from before, right? It's a jar. Oh, is he just gonna speak the killer's name? If that thing could, I'm sure it would. Looks like everyone's forgotten this is just a jar. But I remembered. A message was left here on the surface of this jar. If you look closely, you can see a faint trail of blood on the jar. Looks like someone wiped the blood away. Yes, but notice. For some reason, the blood on the fragment was not wiped away. There's a line there drawn in blood. So what you're saying is that these dots were once lines? Prosecutor Marshall did not die instantly. He used a few precious moments left to him to leave behind a message. One that someone apparently wiped away. But blood must have seeped into the jar where the lines changed directions. Exactly. All we need to do is connect these points. Victim's message will become apparent. No! Did Lana? Lana definitely wiped it away. Mr. Wright, what kind of message did the victim leave for us? Your Honor, I believe these bloodstains will reveal us the answer. Okay, let's see if we can connect these. So, there to there. This looks like to there to there. Oh, crap. Nope, not that. There we go. There to there. There to there. Oh, we're getting somewhere. Okay. How? We can't do that one. Okay. There to there and there to there. And we can't do anything there. So, present. The name of the killer. It's a defense attorney's duty to prove their client's innocence. That's why all I've been thinking about is saving Lana. However, after all my efforts, I never thought I would be turned out like this. Emma! Oh. So this is the final message. Chief Prosecutor, well, no, Prosecutor Marshall left behind. The name of the killer. Dang. Emma's not going to take this very well. Of all people, she may not have meant it, but in the end, the one who took the victim's life was Emma Skye. Dang! I was not expecting that. She still got something in her hand there. Seaworthy, can't say I didn't warn you. Gaunt, shut up. Chief Gaunt, do you understand the implications of what you've done? What are you talking about? 2 years ago, Joe Dark was sentenced to death. He was convicted because of his final murder. I believe you were the prosecutor in that case, were you not? Yes, Worthy. Because of you, an innocent man was sentenced to death. Not only that, but you used forged evidence to ensure his conviction. Oh. Joe Dark really was the serial murderer. That's undeniable. Huh? Do you have a reason for that? I'm afraid that's not important. Didn't you know we aren't defenders of justice? What? We're merely keepers of the law. Sentencing a man to death is no light matter. Even if there wasn't any cover-up or evidence forgery, ultimately, the responsibility falls on the prosecutor in charge. Despite that, anyone may say the facts cannot be denied. Oh, the courtroom is in an uproar. What's going on? They might... Oh, how can you just stand there like that? Wasn't it his fault? Order, order. Judge, get order in the court. Hit your gavel a couple times. The gavel pounded, fell on deaf ears. Unable to settle the court, the judge declared a recess. Where this trial is heading, no one knows. To be continued. Oh, okay. So, I was initially right on the suit of armor's knife. I was initially right about that, and there should have been blood on that. Okay, we should have found some blood on it. But oh well. We also figured out what all of the evidence meant. Like that unstable jar, I had no idea what that was going toward, because I'm like, well, it looks like it has blood on it, but I'm like, did someone like hit someone's head on it or something like that? But no. Turns out that Emma, since she thought that it was Joe Dark with the knife, hit Neil into the statue or the suit of armor with the knife, killing him and knocking the jar down. And then in his last moments, Neil Marshall, wrote Emma's name on the jar. And then, of course, all the forgery stuff and hiding evidence and whatnot. I don't know how Emma's going to take this, because she killed someone. She didn't try to, but she did kill someone. Yeah, so I don't know how that... Like, we literally just made it so Emma... Like, we found out that Emma killed someone. This has not led to saving Lana, I don't think, at all. Unless Edgeworth and Wright have something to say about it. So I don't know how we're still going to get Lana innocent, but we will see in the trial ladder. So next time, we'll do the final day trial ladder, and we will finish up this episode. Like, we'll finish up episode 5, Rise from the Ashes. And yeah. So anyways, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you guys next time. So, bye-bye.